I would like to introduce some members from the City of Lincoln and Lincoln Transportation and Utilities teams. We have our Project Delivery Manager, Chris Humphrey. We also have our technicians, James Pulse. We have our engineers, Mark Rosso. We have our economic development specialist, Janet Hayes. And then we have our Assistant Director of Transportation, Thomas Schaefer. They all are here ready and willing to answer questions. And Chris, if you can take it away, that'd be great.
Okay, so welcome everybody. Let's see if you want to go to the next slide, Erica. This is basically what the agenda for our program tonight is. So we're going to be talking about the work that we did in 2023 and what's completed. And then we'll talk about what we'll be working on in 2024 and how that phasing looks in 2024, a little bit about safety, and then the communication of the project moving forward. And then we will open it up to questions that you may have. So you can type those questions in the chat box as we go along, or at the end of the presentation, we'll have an email address that you can email your questions as well. So basically, just a recap from last year, this was two projects that we worked on. One was a water main lining and replacement project from Layton to Gladstone. And the other project that we worked on last year was a street improvement project that was from Layton all the way up north to Superior Street. And combined, those two projects totaled about $8 million. So this was a pretty significant investment along the North 48th Street corridor. The water main project was improving a water main that was over 100 years old in places, and it was about a mile long. And so the picture that you see on the left is what the majority of the water main was improved to. So basically, it was kind of like a cast that you would kind of put on your arm, but they put this sleeve in, and then it basically provides a structure for that old water main, and then they reconnected the services to it. So before this project, the water department was going out in that area. There was about 3 water main breaks for an average a year. And so far, we haven't had any breaks since these improvements were made. And then on the next slide, so the street improvement project was broken into several different phases. And what you see on your screen is the northern 2 sections of the street improvement project from Gladstone on your left, north to Superior on your right. And that also included a new traffic signal at the intersection of 48th and Cornhusker. And the next couple slides talk a little bit more about these 2 phases. So this is the north side. So the picture on the left is basically looking at Superior Street South. And this is a good example of sometimes when we design a project and then we go out in the field and construct it, we just run into some unknowns. And this is an example of it. When we got out here, we were originally planning on just sealing the old concrete pavement that was out here. But when we get into construction, we found that there were certain conditions that required us to remove and replace about 300 feet of concrete south of the Superior Street intersection. So we went ahead and did that on this, in this particular section between Cornhusker and Superior. We also milled and overlaid south of this concrete section. We did improvements to ramps as well. And then the next slide talks about the section south of here between Gladstone and Cornhusker. If you can go to the next slide, Erica. Excuse me, from Greenwood to Cornhusker. So this picture is actually looking from Cornhusker north. So this is part of that milled and overlaid section. There's brand new pavement markings on it. So it looks nice and crisp. We did replace the traffic signal at the intersection of 48th and Cornhusker. And then in that area south of Cornhusker, again, we improved the sidewalk ramps to be ADA compliant. those concrete slope protection that's north and south of the railroad underpass. Some of those panels got replaced. We also did base repairs in that area and then milled and overlaid that section as well. And if you can go to the next slide.
And Chris, while we're on the subject, we do have a quick question.
Okay.
Between Cleveland and Huntington, is there any plans to fix an area in that area? It says that it needs some attention.
Okay. If you can write in the chat exactly where that is between Cleveland and Huntington, we can take a look at it. So when our project is substantially complete, we work with the contractor on, we call it what's called a punch list. And so if there's any areas that need to be addressed, then those go on a punch list, and then we require the contractor to fix those.
Thanks.
Chris,
And there's also a suggestion.
That's right. If you don't mind me interjecting for a second. Cleveland to Huntington is actually going to be the focus of the work that we're going to be doing this spring.
Great. And then one recommendation to consider convex blind spot mirrors to be helpful in some places. So.
Okay, so this picture, so this is the section that's a little bit farther south. So this photo on the left is looking from Adams Street south. So in this area from Greenwood to Madison, we completely removed the concrete pavement, replaced it. This is kind of another area with unknowns that happened during construction. So the existing sidewalks were just deteriorated to the point that we weren't able to leave them in place when we removed the concrete pavement. And so we replaced those at the same time. So that's nice. Those are all nice, smooth, level sidewalks along that area. And then just a little bit farther south on 48th and Huntington, we installed the first pedestrian hybrid beacon in Lincoln, and that was put into service earlier this year in February. And we'll have a video a little bit later that kind of talks about how to use the pedestrian hybrid beacon from a pedestrian and a vehicular standpoint. And these are just some more example pictures of, we like our pictures of improvements that we made. So again, a nice milled overlaid surface along the stretch, reconstruction of the traffic signals at 48th and Cornhusker, and then installation of that pedestrian hybrid beacon at 48th and Huntington. And then the remaining improvements, basically the physical improvements will be from Huntington to Madison. So including the intersections of Huntington and Madison themselves, but the traffic will actually be impacted from Layton up to Madison. So the contractor, assuming the weather is going to be good, is anticipating to start next Monday. And then basically the work will be completed in 3 different phases. And each of the phases will involve milling off the top of the asphalt. We'll take a look to see what base repairs need to be made in that particular work zone. And then we'll make those base repairs. Then we will put a fresh layer of asphalt over the top and make any utility adjustments, pour the concrete around that, and then wait for the concrete to set before we switch to the next phase. And so working with the contractor right now, their proposed schedule is expected to take about 12 weeks to complete these 3 phases. And we'll talk about those in the next few slides here. So one commitment that the city has made is that we will have 1 lane of northbound traffic and 1 lane of southbound traffic open in each direction throughout the 2024 work. And we'll be talking about that in these next slides, talking about the phases. This is something that we heard from the community that since we were going to be, because of the weather and the risk associated with that, we wanted to make sure that at least traffic north and southbound had at least one lane in each direction. As we walk through these next slides, you'll see where access to the side streets will be restricted at times depending on where we are working. And then we do have some of that punch list work like I was talking about at the intersection of 48th and Cornhusker for the sidewalk ramps, but that work will be done under lane closures. So that intersection will be open, but with lane restrictions. And so this is, again, kind of an overview of the work that we're going to be doing. The pedestrian hybrid beacon, that's Huntington Avenue. So the mill and the base repairs and the new asphalt overlay will start just at the south side of the intersection of Huntington and go to the north through Madison, just to the north of the Madison Avenue intersection. But again, traffic, in order to shift over, depending on the phase that we're in, those traffic shifts will happen all the way from Layton to Adams Street. And then this is an example video, and I'm not sure, can you pause it for just a second, Erica? So I don't think you'll be able to hear the video on this. For some reason, it's not coming over, but this is a great video example of what a mill and overlay work looks like. So I'll kind of narrate it as it goes along. It's less than a minute here, but it's a nice video example, simplifying the process that we have. So in this first step, this is they're milling the top layer of the asphalt. You can see the traffic's going, we have it coned off, and the traffic is next to the milling machine in this case. And then we'll do our base repairs, and then this is when they're putting down the new asphalt surface. And then after we put down the asphalt surface, there's some utility adjustments. So sometimes there's manholes, other boxes that we need to just bring up to be at the same elevation as the asphalt surface. And then those would have like a concrete section that was poured around it to help stabilize them. So talking about the phasing now. So again, we've made the commitment that one lane of traffic in each direction will be open northbound to southbound between Layton and Adams. And I think the next slide will talk about more specifically in the phase one. So phase one will be working in the construction in the outside northbound lane. So it's where the orange hash marks are on this, the drawing that you see to the left. So access to and from the side streets east of 48th Street will be restricted. So the side streets east of 48th Street, people on 48th Street will not be able to turn onto them, and the side streets will not be able to turn onto 48th Street. But the southbound lanes on 48th Street will be able to take a right turn onto the side streets west of 48th Street, and people that want to access 48th Street from the west will be able to turn right and go south on 48th Street. Those people on the vehicles on the west side of 48th Street will not be able to make a left turn to go north on 48th Street. And luckily, this area has a nice grid system that they can use to get up to Adams or Superior outside of the work zone. And that's strictly for the safety of the vehicles and just making sure traffic is flowing as smooth as we can. You know, there's going to be a lot going on in this section of street, and we want to make sure that it's as safe as we can make it. So that's phase one. After phase one construction is complete,
Chris,
then
one thing I'd like to add, additionally during that particular phase, northbound traffic will not be able to take a left or a right turn anywhere between Layton and Adams.
Yes, thank you, James.
Mhm.
And so Eric, if you go to the next slide, so after phase 1 is complete, then we'll move into phase 2, which is construction in the northbound and the southbound inside lanes. So at this point, northbound traffic will be in the outside northbound lanes, and the southbound traffic will be in the southbound outside lanes. So like James was saying, there will not be any left turns from northbound or southbound onto the side streets, but right turns, excuse me, would be possible for northbound traffic onto the side streets, and then from the side streets to northbound, and kind of likewise for the southbound traffic, they can make right turns to and from those side streets. And then after phase 2 construction is complete, then we'll do the same thing for the outside southbound lanes, similar to what we did for those northbound outside lane. So there, again, left turns would be restricted for those movements northbound and southbound on 48th streets, but the side streets to the east will be able to make right turns onto and from the side streets. And again, like I mentioned before, there's going to be a lot going on in this segment, and we just want to make sure that, you know, we get through this construction season as safe as we can. You know, safety for the workers, safety for the vehicles that are driving through it, especially when we get into those 2 inside lanes. There are going to be construction workers right next to traffic, and we just ask all of you to please slow down and make sure that you are, you know, phones down, you're paying attention, no distracted driving through the area. It's going to be a very tight work zone. And then this next slide is a slide for the pedestrian hybrid beacon. And so again, this is like a unique one for you, those of you that work and travel and live in the area. I'm sure that you've experienced it. I don't think that you'll be able to hear the video, so I can do my best with this, but there's more information if you go to the city's website, lincoln.ne.gov, and in the search box, just type in PHB for pedestrian hybrid beacon. It'll take you to the city's website, and you can see a video of this, of how this operates. But basically, the pedestrian will come and push the button, similar to like they do in the other pedestrian crossings. When the pedestrian's not there, the vehicles are free to move. Pedestrian has the walk sign, the don't walk sign, the don't walk hand. So they will be pushing it. And then the lights will be flashing. And that just tells the vehicles to proceed with caution. And then there'll be a steady yellow light, and that will tell the vehicles to be prepared to stop, similar to a signal. And then there'll be 2 red lights, and that's when the motorist must stop. That gives the pedestrian time to cross the street. The pedestrian will have the walk signal, give them plenty of time to cross. When the pedestrians crossed, when they have that time, then it'll be these flashing red lights that tells the motorists you can, you know, look both ways to make sure that the pedestrians have crossed already. If there are no pedestrians that are coming, entering the intersection, after you have stopped, you can continue, the vehicle can continue on. So again, okay, search pedestrian signals. That's another way you can look for it. That video's on the site and it actually has some video or some audio that you can hear through that presentation. So we're pretty excited about that pedestrian hybrid beacon. It just gives another option for pedestrians in the vehicles and makes sure all modes of transportation are moving safely. So communication moving forward in 2024, we are planning to have digital message boards up throughout construction. So this will be telling you of what to expect and when to expect it. We'll have website updates. We do have James Pulse is on. He's our construction project manager. His contact information is here. We'll also not have it on this next slide. And then we'll also planning on if we have enough, if we have anybody that's interested in getting email updates through the project, again, just email Erica Hill and we'll start a database for that and give you any significant updates throughout throughout the construction. And again, if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat box, or you can type or email them to Erica Hill. She'll be taking your questions here. And then our project contacts are James, he's on tonight. And then Mark Rosso, he's on as well. He's our construction engineer. Both of their contact information is there. They are happy to take any emails, any phone calls from you guys. And with that, we'll just kind of open it up to questions.
Okay, first question. Besides the beacon, is there anything else being done to make the area more walkable and pedestrian friendly long term?
Well, these are the improvements that we were doing along the North 48th Street stretch. We do have some other projects in the area that will be coming. We are improving Layton from 48th to 70th Street. That project will be constructed this year. And then we have a federal aid project that is currently scheduled for next year along Adams Street from 36th Street about to 49th Street. So there's some other projects in the area. More longer term, the RTSD 33rd and Cornhusker project is planning on doing some pedestrian improvements kind of in the more bigger area along the 44th Street corridor just south of Cornhusker, improving the railroad crossing to be ADA compliant, and then some more pedestrian improvements a little bit farther west, closer to the 33rd Street corridor. We do have sidewalk projects that we do in different corridors or different segments around the community. I'm not aware of any specific targeted ones for neighborhoods in this particular area, but that's always something that we're looking at as well.
Okay, and going back to probably the middle of the presentation, we have one comment between Cleveland and Huntington. They feel a complete redo of the street is warranted there. Do you guys envision a lot of base repairs in that area? They say there's little patches.
Yeah, so there's several things that when we get into, you know, we really won't know the base condition until we mill off that top surface. And so the amount of base repairs is one of the things that's the big unknown in this section. So we have weather, we can't control the weather. We don't know what the weather's going to be. Probably the next big thing is going to be what those base repairs look like. So when we did the water main last year and we were hooking up the services, it sounds like it was just kind of like a patchwork quilt. It was a mixture of base that was out there. Some of it was just brick base. Some of it was a mixture of concrete and brick. So until we get that top surface milled off, it's really difficult to say how long each of those phases is going to be and how much of the base repair that will need to occur. It could be that we get out there and we have minimal base repairs. We had a segment, I mean, James can talk about this more than I could, but you know, we had some segment of brick base farther north of here that we didn't have too much base repair. And again, like that section that was just south of Superior, we ended up needing to replace about 300 feet of full depth concrete pavement because the the sub base was so bad.
Thank you for that. One person is asking, when it comes to keeping the through street available to traffic, at least one lane on both directions, is that a guarantee? Are we guaranteed no matter what to have through traffic through this project?
For the plans that we're for the work that we are planning on doing, we have made the commitment to have one lane in each direction open at all times. There would have to be something extremely significant to deviate from that. I don't like talking in absolutes, especially when it comes to construction. But right now we've made that commitment to have one lane open in each direction.
Right. And this one might need to be directed to Lincoln Water System, but maybe you guys have thoughts. During construction last year, there was some water leaking, and they feel like their water bill went up higher. And so Lincoln Water System said there was something wrong with their meter. Do you have any thoughts on this particular situation?
Yeah, last year we had an above ground system that we had to maintain a certain amount of flow on all the time. So we had spigots where that water was, constantly coming out of that above ground main. I'm not familiar with where this individual's property might be, but if there's meter was inside their property, in their home or business, it shouldn't have been affected by that, which would probably lead to Lincoln Water's assessment that it was a meter problem versus something like that, because for it to run up their water meter, it would have had to been leaking between their meter and their facility.
Okay. All right. If people are unable to take a left or a right turn, how do you envision them getting to those local businesses in this area?
Yeah, so for the local businesses, and if there's any business owners on here, we are more than happy to work with you to develop like a PDF that you can put out on social media or put up in your business, or do with, mail out or whatever you want to do with it, to show how vehicles can get to your business and your parking lot needs. So like I said, this is a pretty good grid system that they can have access from the other side streets from Layton or from Adams. And if anybody is interested in working with us and having us develop that PDF, you can email Erica Hill. Again, we'll have that email, that contact information on the screen.
Yep, we're happy to make some of those graphics for you. Let's see. Will emergency vehicles be slowed down because of the construction work on 48?
Yeah, so we coordinate with the emergency vehicles, and they'll be aware of the different phasing that we're doing, where they can and can't turn onto the street. James, do you have any other thoughts on working with the emergency department?
They're kept well informed of our street closures, and so if they have to find a different route, they're well aware of where they need to go. And worst case scenario, if they do come through the construction zone, we give them any allowances that we can to get where they need to go.
Okay. Why do you resurface with asphalt instead of concrete?
Yeah, typically that's we do geotechnical investigations prior to starting a project during the design process, and we go through pavement determination of different sections of what we're proposing to do. And so in this particular case, this was the most efficient and economical way to get to the solution that we wanted, was to mill and overlay it. We do, just to let you know, I guess there are different ways that we're always looking to be innovative in what we can do. And in some of the residential areas, we've been, last year we were working on, it's a product called Pressure Pave. And that worked out really well. And this year, we're also going to be doing some ultra thin bonded products on a couple different arterial streets as well. So we're always kind of on the lookout for this, but in this particular case, the payment determination determined that it would be mill and overlay.
The next discussion is about, it's sounds like it's from a business owner who has received some communication from the city talking about different ways that we can assist them in helping coordinate construction. And so they're wondering if they may find answers in this meeting, and I'm happy to take this one on. We are very willing to meet with you one-on-one to come up with a plan. There are a lot of different really good marketing tools that are available that we're happy to talk through if that's something of interest. One thing that's been really helpful for us is what's called geofencing, which you can kind of identify an area where potential customers are at, and you can then push out different ads specifically in that area. We're happy to do graphics to help get people, let them understand and know where your parking is and how to get around that construction. And we also are happy to create, some draft social media posts with visuals, if that is something of interest to you as well. We are really trying to offer our assistance where we can, and we know construction can, be tough sometimes. So we are absolutely here to have that conversation and see where we can help, even if it's something, smaller like a graphic. We're happy to do it, or something bigger, like a bigger conversation regarding marketing. Anything else, Janet? Did you want to add anything, or does that cover it?
I think, Erica, that covers it. Just one of the other aspects we got from feedback from last fall was that if there's any collaboration that business owners can accomplish together, there's a lot of discussion about, rear access to those with business with fronts on North 48th Street. And I think the communication, just as you said, in a platform that speaks to the customer base of these respective businesses, social media was by far encouraged.
Yeah, just feel free to, I'll put my email in the chat once more in case you didn't grab that, but I'm happy to see where we can create something for you to see where we can help you. Let's see. If one person is saying, if anyone is interested in being part of the newly formed UniPlace Creative District Group, please email Sam, and their information is in the chat, so you can look at that. Moving on, will water be turned off for residents in the businesses and apartments for any length of time during this project?
No, this is strictly a paving project, so there should not be any water shutdowns at all.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then, yep, one person is also asking about assistance and how we can help. And yep, I'm happy to talk through potential graphics, offer potential social media posts. And then talk through any any marketing ideas to brainstorm that you might be interested in. I know there's so many out there, but when it comes to construction, there are some that we found are better than others. So let's see here.
To answer that last question, yes, the stoplight at 48th and St. Paul will be de-energized during the phasing.
Okay. And then, yay. And those are all the questions that we have received. If anyone has any more questions, we're happy to answer additional questions. I'm gonna put my email in here.
I think there was
It's
a question. Erica, brought up.
erhill@lincoln.ne.gov.
Erica, I think there's a question about parking ban on one side of the side streets during the
Oh, I
day.
see it. Oh, thank you for flagging that. Can there be a parking ban on one side of the street, the side streets during the day? With traffic diverted to side streets, it can be very difficult to navigate when both sides are parked on and only a single lane is open, especially for delivery vehicles.
And I'll probably pass this one along to James. I haven't sat on the meetings with the people that work for the city that work with the traffic control. I'm not sure if that has been brought up during discussion. If it hasn't, then we can certainly take a look at that. James, have you had any discussions with Shane or anybody about that?
No, as of right now, we haven't discussed that, but it's definitely a viable option to look at, some no parkings.
Is there anything else that I missed here?
I think there was a question about pavement markings. So the
Right.
pavement markings that are down, or James, you can go ahead and take that.
Yeah, currently all the pavement markings were just done in temporary paint. The contractor basically wanted to have the entire project done with the paving before they brought in their subcontractor to do the permanent markings. So yeah, everything from Layton all the way to Superior will be done in permanent markings.
This year.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's scheduled to be done by the end of June, I believe. June to July.
Right. Okay. Any other
And I
questions?
do have one more comment. As we progress through these 3 different phases, we talked about, the base repairs that need to be done. So when we do the base repairs, there's a time that concrete needs to set and gain strength before we put the asphalt on top of it. And likewise, after the asphalt is done and we adjusted the utilities and there's concrete that is set around those, for example, like a manhole, there's time for that concrete needs to set and cure in order for us to put traffic on it. So there will be times during all 3 of these phases that the concrete will be curing, that you may not necessarily see anybody out there doing physical work because we're just waiting for the concrete to cure. So just want to let you guys know that if you see somebody out there not working, it's probably because the concrete is curing out there. But again, I want to thank everybody for your time tonight and appreciate your patience through this project. It's going to be a great project when we're done. And it'll be nice to get 48th Street moving in all 4 lanes again.
Right. All right, and then just a reminder, this is a recorded meeting and we will have the full recording on the website tomorrow. So it would be lincoln.ne.gov /North 48th with a TH at the end. Or it's just easier if you just go to our city website and then just type in North 48th and then it will pop right up that way too. So, all right. Thank you, everyone.